Welcome to the final episode of a Harlequins Podcast. 2 wins and 4 quarters. My name's Michael. I'm sat here with my cousin Will. Baby, we did it. We did it.
Your voice says it all. Your voice says it all.
Mate, I've been croaking at school all day. I haven't stopped. I've just put this shirt back on.
All weekend.
This shirt absolutely reeks of whatever I was spilling down it on Friday and Saturday. Sorry, it stinks, but I don't want to ever wash it off.
Frame it. Keep the memories in it. Pure euphoria, wasn't it? I can't even articulate what it means. Just pure joy, pride, happiness, everything all bundled into one. I can't believe after the year that everybody's had with COVID, with lockdowns, with the season starting, getting thumped 33-3 at home to Exeter, with your head coach getting sacked halfway through the season, not just the players and the staff and the coaches, etc., the fans, the year they've had, the hardship, the struggles, the roller coaster that we've been on, to end it here in June in the sunshine at the big stoop by beating the best of the best in an absolute thriller as well. We did it the Quins way. I just can't put that into words. It's something I'll never forget.
We did
something
it our
I'll
way.
never forget.
We did it our way, didn't we?
Our way.
I mean,
special.
We're going to try and do this episode and not just ramble on for hours and hours and hours about what day it was, because I will sit here until the cows come home.
There's so much to talk about.
I want to relive the whole thing. I want to do it over and over and over again. I want to have that day again. And I hope we do in another year or another 2 years, and maybe it'll be different. I want to have that day again in some capacity.
You know what's funny?
Yeah, go on.
What's funny is that we're mid-20s, living in London,
Yeah.
out drinking, having a good time, as you do at this stage of your life. And there's countless occasions where I'll go out and I won't be able to recall what happened that weekend, or I'll have like blurred memories, whatever.
Yeah.
And we went hard this weekend. We went after it. We went there to party and have a good time, regardless of the result. And when the result happens, it's like a night out on steroids, isn't it? It's ridiculous. And for all of the alcohol consumed, all that happened, I would just remember everything so vividly.
Yeah.
How do I describe it?
I've got like a timeline in my head. I can picture you walking down my driveway.
Yeah.
And just,
no amount of beer will ever remove these memories.
And seeing a smile on your face. I remember sitting in the pub next door to my house.
In our pink shirts.
I remember getting on the bus, and then everything just goes from there. The blue shirt we were in, the walk, everything. Obviously, I could keep going, but I remember
every single detail.
And I'm never going to forget that. For as long as I live, that day will be in my mind. I mean, like, I don't even know. Should we start in?
Let's start with the day. Start with the day.
Let's start in the pre-game. I think the best way to do this is obviously, we'll try and paint a picture of how our day led up to the start of the game. You came round to my place about 1 o'clock. We went into the pub. We got the bus into Twickenham. We met a fellow fan on the bus. This is one of the few things I do think I can't remember. Do you remember his name?
I think it was John.
Was it John?
I think it was John.
If you're listening, if we met you on the bus, thank you, because John said he had a table at the Prince Blucher in Twickenham. His mate had another table. They were going to join one, and we could have the spare. Amazing. So we get there. We meet loads of fellow fans. We bumped into people we know. Dave Rogers, who I'm sure all of you that listen to this will know by now, who does the Quins media, the front of camera stuff, does an amazing job on the front row. Quins Live, interviewing everyone, does an amazing job.
And a top bloke.
And
just a top bloke.
Yeah, he's going to be running somewhere in Walthamstow, giving him massive fist pumps in the air now. We're giving him a bit of a pump. Yeah, it was a massive day. Sitting in the pub with him in the Blucher. And then do you know what? We actually had a bit of consideration to make, because I wasn't sure whether the walk would be in the same way that people remember it from 2012. I don't know if that was the same with you.
No, mate, I knew it was happening.
Yeah, I knew it was happening. I just wasn't sure if it was going to be in the same, fans lining the streets thing, but it absolutely was. I'm so glad we did it. That would be my life forever.
That was brilliant. I think that set up the tone for the day, and I think that almost gives us that competitive advantage when our squad have got to walk over their own turf to get to the big stoop, and they're getting rallied on by thousands of Quins fans. Most of them not even ticket holders. Most of them just come out to support.
We met so many people doing that. They were saying, "I haven't got a ticket. I wanted to be part of this moment. This is maybe the only moment that I'm going to be part of. I haven't got a ticket to the game. This is the bit I want to be for."
And I remember being being in the Stoop car park as they're walking past, and we've got the chants going. The lads have got the rugby's coming home flag out. And as the players start walking past, like we're recognizing a few of them, and they like clock eye contact. They're in the zone, but they also want to enjoy it and sort of embrace it and have a smile with you. And then they start going over the bridge, and obviously fans can't line that, so we're jumping over the road, getting the other side.
So when they can't traffic, it doesn't matter. Just get across the road.
So when they get to the other side of the bridge, we're there again, like, come on, boys, come on, enjoy it, lads, enjoy it. I think that was the key phrase for me. Lots of people weren't like, come on, lads, do it, get into them. It was more like,
it was
enjoy it.
It was
have fun. It's what we've stood for all season. It's what makes us different. It's what makes us play exciting rugby. And I just think like we wrote our own script. 28-0 down away at Bristol. From that moment on, our team were just freakish from 1 to 23. Just what they found deep inside them is just next level. And the bond that they've got for each other must have a huge role to play in that. And just enjoying themselves. And it's not a job, it's a hobby, right? You've got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Got to enjoy it.
I think one of the things that was really, really amazing for me, and I generally can't talk any louder than this. My voice is absolutely killing me. When we were doing the walkway, we've been really lucky, and we said it when we went to the Newcastle game, to go meet all these people that we've connected with via social media in various forms this year. But we managed to meet for the first time Burge, who's been such a loyal support of ours, and we had so much amazing conversation with him. Bumping into Kathy again, Kathy Churchill, Scots Ranger on Instagram. George, who connected with us about 2 days before the game, saying he's had 2 tickets, his dad can't come. He flew down from Scotland the morning of the game.
By himself.
By himself. He ended up selling his ticket to Marcus Smith's mum. He also then told us that the day that it wasn't actually for his mum, it's for another member of the family, but the fact that she was on some Facebook page to get a spare ticket is incredible.
Yeah.
And then the weirdest thing is you get to Twickenham. And that's actually the bit in the day where I felt a little bit strange, because it wasn't like Twickenham that I remember. It wasn't like going to a big game. It wasn't like going to an England game. It was quieter, but it didn't seem any less different. I've probably phrased that really, really poorly. It was quieter in terms of, it wasn't just halls and halls and halls and halls of people. Of course,
in terms of footfall, yeah.
But
in terms of noise, all the interviews I've watched back afterwards, Joe Marler's interview, anybody's interview, you can barely hear the person speaking. Yeah. You can just hear the ruckus of the fans and the singing and the chanting. And this is long after full time. Yeah. And even throughout the game, I remember Danny Kerr saying he could barely hear the Chiefs fans. He didn't even know they were any there. That's not a dig at the Chiefs fans. That's bumping up our lot who turned up and showed up in full voice. So
I think
again, it just makes you so proud, doesn't it, to be a part of a group?
Oh, of course it does.
And when I say a group, I mean a group of fans. Like,
yeah,
we all buy into the same thing. We all go through the emotions together every single week. And when it comes down to this moment, we wear the
same colours every time we watch the boys play.
And a lot of people, not our fans, but a lot of rugby pundits or rugby fans outside of the club would have thought, oh yeah, imposter syndrome. Quins don't really deserve to be there. They've managed to fluke it against Bristol, if you can call it fluking it. And now they're in the final against Exeter, massive underdogs. I saw on Good Bad Rugby, I think it was Jack Noel talking about how they prepare for Quins, and they were like, well, they don't do anything special. They just chuck it round. It's like, well, you still can't stop that. That's not the point. And people wrote us off, and we just rewrote our own script. We broke convention. And it was just special. And when we lost our head coach, it would have been so easy for us just to crumble and nobody take responsibility, because there isn't that fall guy. And you can crumble. But the opposite happened. Everybody was galvanized. Everybody became responsible. That's not just the coaches, that's the players, that's the senior players. All of a sudden we got no head coach. Right, well, we're going to step up. And then the younger players were like, well, right, well, we're going to step up. And the coaches were like, well, we're in it together. Like, although there's not one sole person, we're here to win. It's not about dog eat dog, keep your job.
Yeah.
We're here to win. And it would have been so easy for us to crumble. So again, it's just another little subplot, a little story in this incredible, miraculous season, which has got us to where we are now.
Double champs.
Mike Brown departing the club, not only as a legend, but as a 2-time Premiership champion.
Yeah.
We'll miss him. And we're so proud of the lads for sending him off in that way.
God, we'll miss him. Should we talk about the game?
Yeah, let's try and talk about the game.
This is actually something that we don't really do a whole lot. You know, when we do these recordings, we don't often break down the game, moment by moment, step by step, because it's quite a difficult thing to do and sort of give real clarity to. but I remember the game so clearly. It's one of the games that I've watched where actually I remember the phases that happen. I remember the moments in the game. I remember, when they were on top, when we were on top, when they were man down, when we were player down, when we had the ball, when they were kicking, when we were doing this. I remember all that quite weirdly. So
you can feel the momentum change, can't you?
The momentum change in that
first
game.
Try,
oh my God.
That first try was crucial. We had to be the first team to score, I think, after the last few starts we've had and getting behind. And in a final as well, you want to be the first to get off the mark. And the fact that it was a penalty try and a yellow card as well really set the tone. And that was when we got our tails up. They obviously get back into it. We were at a good end for Thomas's try, literally right in front of us, the right side of the pitch as well. You could see his line coming a mile off.
You could see it.
Marcus just got his red cape out, pulled in the forward, sucked him in. See you later. I'm going to pop
the best bit about that try as well is I've watched it since. Like, obviously, we went a couple of phases right, and Daniel taking the carry and Andre taking the carry, and then you can see Marcus just wrap round the other way onto the blind side and give it the ball. He can see that so easy. You see the matchup. How many times this season have we watched Marcus Smith give a little inside ball to Alex Donbrown on a flying line? But this time,
how many times are we going to see that for England over the summer?
Oh, we're going to see it for England. We're going to see England with Jack Kenningham and Joe Marchant there as well. Just ridiculous.
So good.
Can I talk about Cowan Dickey?
Yeah, why not?
So I watched the Sale game in the semi-final. His trademark almost when he's arrowing the ball over from 3 yards out. And although they did take the ball through phases close to the line and score cut at times, Sam Simmons' try was unbelievable. The athleticism of that bloke to almost have space hoppers in his hips and bounce up and,
He did bounce up, didn't he?
Absolutely flew up. I've watched it a couple of times, but we defended those phases of the game when they were flying in from 3 or 4 yards out better than I've ever seen us defend it. Jack Kenningham on his nose flying out. I've watched the replay a couple of times. Scott Baldwin is down on one knee in a sprint start, ready to put his face over the ball and stop that phase of the game. And although there was some extended pressure, we gave away the yellow card with Marcus in that sort of quite typical Exeter way of scoring tries. At no point did I feel like they actually had massive momentum in those phases of the game.
That was an incredible period for us because we not only do you go a man down in the final against Exeter, you lose your talisman, you lose your number 10, your playmaker, the one that pulls the strings. And that's when you think, Christ, we're going to have to hang in here for 10 minutes until we can actually restore a bit of structure to the sort of style of play. We actually came out that 10 minutes better. We managed to score a try. It's almost like, and here's a little exclusive for you. So Alan Wynne-Jones is obviously an Adidas athlete. Shame for him getting injured for the Lions this weekend as well, by the way. But he was talking to one of my colleagues after the Six Nations when they just lost in the final game to France. And they were saying that France getting the red card actually helped France because it galvanizes the group. It brings them all together. They play that little bit harder. They cover that extra inch on the pitch. They really put everything into absolutely every aspect of the game. And there was almost no element of that to it for us. We go a man down, all of a sudden everybody ups their game to a new level that they didn't know they had in them just for that 10-minute period. So I think it benefited us. We definitely responded the right way.
Wilcolo's try?
I was just about to talk about that as well. That was ridiculous. That was exceptional.
Strength of the man.
He just wouldn't quit on it, would he? He got his rewards. He wouldn't die. He could have easily hit the floor. He could have easily sort of ridden the tackle and gone down an extra meter forwards, but he just wouldn't hit the floor.
Little shout out for Sarah Beckett as well, calling the size of the man's quads pre-game.
I mean, that's nothing new, is it?
No.
New. That's probably worth talking about as well. We didn't actually get to that bit, but we were actually sat behind the sticks as well with Dave Rogers and the full Harlequins women's squad who turned up to support the lads as well. So they really added to the fun of our day, didn't they? Lots of good chat going on, lots of drinks and lots of noise. So again, so many people to thank for our day because it was so special. We had a lot of fun and they were definitely a part of that as well. So
we called it as well. We said, look, you've won your trophy. Now we're gonna double up. We're gonna get both of them.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't even talked about that. We've done
I was literally waiting for. I mean, we've got a vague agenda here. I was literally waiting to go.
I'm gonna get sidetracked because
exactly, and that's what the thing. We're not banging them. Of course, we're going to talk about it. We just got to try and follow this vague plan we've got. But
I know. But we almost got lucky the fact that we were sat in that group because we managed to blag our way into the after party, didn't we?
It's
sat with Quinn's, such a humble brag. Sat with Quinn's women and Dave Rogers. All of a sudden, we managed to get the magical purple wristband, which I've still got, by the way.
I've still got mine. Of course,
I've had to take it off, but
I'd take it off at work.
And yeah, they had the Premier 15s trophy there and obviously the Premiership trophy. So it was just a massive photo shoot with loads of food and drink and family and friends. It was amazing. I don't know how 6 months ago when we started a pod in January, just me and you rambling in our front rooms talking about Quins and how everything's going horrendously. We've lost the head coach. We've got no design to our play and no structure, and our defense is crap. And all of a sudden, there we are 6 months later, winning a Premiership final, and we're somehow at the after party because we talk into a microphone about what we think. How does that work?
On my school laptop.
How does that work? That's nah. I still can't get my head around it. Anyway, back to the game.
We'll dive into that later, but I want to talk about Lewis Liner.
Oh, I do as well, obviously.
Oh, my God.
2 tries in the Premiership final. You can't argue with that, can you?
That's my boy.
First try looked like all was lost because the ball gets dished out behind Marcus. He has to go chasing it, loses about 5 meters. And he pulls out, the magician, mate, the magic man, the goosey. He pulls out the goosey. And I actually watched the highlights, and I think it's Ben Kay's commentary, and it's like, he sums it up perfectly. You know it's coming. You can see it's coming. But you've got to wait for it because you don't want to jump out of line. But then if you wait for it, he's just held you for an extra second or moment. And that gives him the chance to create the space and put Lewis Liner through the hole. So again, that unstructured play where we were sort of scrapping around trying to collect the ball again. And then Marcus creating a goose step and Lewis through the hole out of nothing.
So
finish in the corner.
You say Lewis through the hole. It wasn't a big
hole. He broke a tackle. No, he broke the tackle. Yeah, he did break the tackle.
Mate,
it wasn't.
Watching him play this year, that boy, and I've after the Newcastle game, ran that little inside drift and then accelerated onto the outside shoulder. That boy can finish.
Oh, 100%.
That boy can finish. And we've seen it through this year from that first try he scored in that big run we had against Wasps until the final. That boy can finish. And the bit I loved about it, again, like you say, it wasn't a big hole, it was a gap. And he must have some serious strength through the hips. I mean, we said when we first saw him run out of the tunnel at Newcastle, he's put on some size.
Yeah, you can tell that actually. Strength through the hips is a really good way of describing it. You can tell that he's got a little bit of a low center of gravity, but so much speed and so much composure in sort of
powered through.
He does.
Mate, powered through the gap and then gave it the arm in the air, pointing to the try. I'm going that way. No one's catching me.
I love that.
And then
I think he's one of those players that perhaps his surge in form came a little bit too late, but he can feel slightly hard done by not getting a look in the England squad this summer. But
maybe
the depth in that England squad for the wing department is ridiculous. So maybe it is slightly too soon, but I don't think it will be long before he's not just knocking on the door, but kicking that thing in.
But even with his second try, it shows
this is the best one. This is the best one.
His footballing ability, because let's be honest, ball comes out the back, through the hands, Marcus to Tyrone Green. The pass from Tyrone Green wasn't perfect.
No, this is the best thing about this try.
The one thing it did do is it put him into the gap with the ball running forward. He stuck his hand out, clawed it in like he was filling a gully, rips it in, and then the swan dive into the corner, slams the ball down, and I lost my mind.
I remember it in the stands. Because that was the moment with 5 minutes to go.
About that. Well, not even. It was barely even that. It was barely even that. Exeter scored with 3 minutes left on the clock, and only took 20 seconds to do it.
With very little time left. That was the moment where I was like, it's ours to lose. We've got one hand on it. And I just remember that moment thinking, how is this? It was like an out of body experience. But as you said, the skill that kid's got to pluck the ball out of the air above his head with one hand at that point in the game with everything on the line. It was like it was Ben Stokes on the boundary, mate, plucking it out of the air like that. And he managed to do that whilst in motion, gather it. And as you say, the rest is history. The way he flew into that corner, it was freakish skills. Freakish.
Question for you.
Okay.
What were you feeling when Exeter scored at the end?
Oh, straight after us?
Yeah.
You know what? I wasn't actually that worried.
I was.
Well, actually, I don't know why. I just had that feeling. I was like, it's too late. We're too good to let them come back and score twice. There's still a lot they need to do. I just felt.
Do you see Marla's into and he said,
"Don't you think that's weird though? There's absolutely no way I should have felt like that. I should have been myself."
I don't know how you've not felt like that because I was all over the place.
Just that aura of confidence that the players generate and give to the fans, but crazy. Maybe I saw Joe. Sorry, I interrupted you there. I saw Joe Muller's interview saying maybe it was
fun,
isn't it?
maybe it was me even thinking it was too good to be true. But I was like, oh, Exeter, classic, brilliant, here we go. But like, yeah, Marlon's interview, Domers goes, boys, we just need one clean exit. And they kick it 20 yards, gather the ball, 2 phases, hog it and score.
Exactly.
Completely
Typical,
lost all control.
Typical, wasn't it? There was actually one try that we haven't talked about yet. There was lots of tries actually yesterday.
Yeah.
We've just put 40 points on Exeter Chiefs. That's no mean feat. But there was one which has got to be a contender for try of the season, because I think it's like in your Year 7 PE lessons where you've got to make every single player touch the ball before you're allowed to score. Tyrone Green catching it probably about 60 meters out, making the break, giving it to Lewis Liner, offloading to Kenners. Everyone's offloads was sticking. Everyone's decision making was bang on the money. It was fast, dynamic. We were clinical. We ship it out wide. Not only do we make 60 meters, but we're using the width of the pitch side to side. March starts to break a tackle down the end, and then one phase, DC off the back of the ruck, sticks it over to Andre, and you're not stopping him from 5-6 meters out with your team still behind him, because we were playing that fast. Exeter were nowhere to be seen. It was incredible, like counter-attacking rugby where the decision making was on point and the skill sets of every single player was on point. It was incredible. I think that's got to be one of the tries of the season, just for the point in the final, the way we scored it. It was after half time as well. So we came out firing. It's exactly what we need in the second half. The significance of that is the knock-on effect it then has. There's so many little factors to it. And yeah, every player touched it. It's like Matthew Carney or whatever his name was like, you're not allowed to score until every player's touched it now.
It certainly made me smile. And then, they get the ball with 50 seconds left on the clock. They've got all I'm thinking at that point is just don't give away a penalty. Don't give them a 40-meter exit and give them some territory. They're too good. They'll do it to us. And I was honestly thinking that. I know it's really cliche saying, "No, I always believed in the boys." Maybe that's an obvious thing to say, but I didn't know. It felt almost too good to be true at one point. And then the turnover comes, and I remember people jumping around and screaming and shouting and I remember me and D-Roz just totally lost our heads. I remember
embracing jumping around. The game wasn't even over yet.
I don't think Mike, correct me. I don't think I was like that. I think
No, me and you were total opposites. In fact, so there's so many incredible photos that came out of the weekend, and there's so many I want to get framed and marked up with Gallagher Premiership Final, Exeter v Quins, 26th of June, etc. So many I want to get up for my future man cave. So if anybody knows someone that does that kind of thing, let me know, because that'd be amazing. 100%. But there's so many incredible photos, and I look at them and I feel a little bit emotional looking at them. And one of them that I just love it so much is me and you stood in the stand. There's you with your hands on your heads, just a total nervous wreck. And there's me with my hands above my head, just singing my head off. And if there was ever a photo to illustrate two different emotions and like everything encapsulated in one photo with the score line in the background, the clock in the red, it's that photo.
If you're watching this on the YouTube stream, we'll have it flashed up now, but it's an unbelievable thing. But
I love it.
I remember in that moment feeling like I can't think about it now. I'm looking up the clock and going 30 seconds. And I didn't have it in me to start screaming and shouting. I remember feeling the excitement of getting the ball back.
Yeah.
And then at that point, they go for a phase. Domers takes it into the tackle, and I've watched this back since. Joe Marlowe is lying on the floor, just watching. I don't know if you said it, just watching Danny Kerr count down the clock, waiting for it to come out. I don't remember watching the ball leave the field of play. I remember seeing it hit Danny Kerr's boot, and at that point, losing all control.
Yeah, the only thing I remember from that moment, exactly what you say, is coming off his boot and then the bench flooding onto the pitch. Yeah. That's what I remember. And then I remember just everybody around us just losing all control. It was wicked. It was insane. It's funny actually, because I look at my bank account and I'm like, shit, I've spent a silly amount of money this weekend. And then I remember we've won the league, and I look at my bank account and I'm like, I should have spent way more money this weekend. We've just won the league. Like, why have I still got money left?
Why was I doing everyone?
I'm probably not done spending yet. I still want to get those photos framed and various other things done and whatever, but I'm not done yet. Actually, I just bought one of those match day programs for a tenner. You can buy them and they send it to you.
Yeah, I got one as well.
I'm actually a little bit gutted that the tickets were digital and I haven't got like a physical.
Yeah, I was saying the same.
Which would have been quite cool.
Someone said the same thing to me, just having that physical ticket, having that physical bit of paper.
Special, isn't it? Yeah, I've actually got a little scrapbook, which I started when I was quite young, and it's got all of like my sporting moments in there. Yeah. And I've got tickets. I've still got it. Yeah, it's quite sick actually. I look back and it's funny because through your life you'll go to so many sporting events, you'll do so many cool things, trips, holidays, whatever, and you'll forget about half of them because your brain's only got so much space to remember things, and you've got to prioritize things like work or whatever, or the boring stuff that's important. And like that's the kind of thing I'd love to have put in there. I've actually got a ticket. I think it's the 2004 Power Gen Cup final. Yeah, that's what it was called. And it was Newcastle versus Sale. And obviously it was the year after we'd won the World Cup, and Johnny Wilkinson was injured, but he was there. So me and my dad went anyway, and he was the water boy. And I remember I don't know how it happened. Maybe my dad pulled a few strings or something, but we managed to meet his parents in the car park. And I think we were speaking to a few other ex-Newcastle players that were in and around the stadium. And I remember it so like vividly, but only because I'm talking about it now. I never would have thought of that memory unless we had this conversation. And I've got that ticket in my scrapbook. And this is the kind of thing where maybe in 20 years' time, you've got kids, whatever, and you can say, yeah, look, go through this and go make your own memories. I don't know. Anyway, getting sidetracked.
Might be a long and prost time having kids, but
20 years?
Well, ever. I have to find somebody willing to, put it on. Anyone out there?
Mike Brown's part of the package deal.
Yeah, absolutely. yeah. Well,
she has to be all right. She has to be all right. Yeah,
don't exactly. Ask questions.
She has to be all right looking at Mike Brown on the wall for the rest of her life.
The photo of me and Nev sits on the nightstand and it doesn't move ever.
Exactly. There's a couple more things I want to talk about.
Yeah, I got a couple as well. Go on.
Not to do with the game anymore, because I think we've done that.
Let's move on. Yeah.
If anyone listens to this is like us, they would have watched the highlights about 5 times anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the ceremony.
Yeah.
Brownie obviously lifting the trophy, which was great. And he ducked out pretty swiftly because I know he didn't want to be front and center of it, because I assume it's because he didn't play, but great for him to be able to lift the trophy. One of my favorite moments, because of COVID, the players had to hand out the medals to each other. Yeah. There was that moment with Dommers and Steph, who have both led us quite well this season. Maybe fairly evenly, I suppose, because Steph's had a few injuries, which is probably why they both lifted it. But when they were handing the medals to each other, it was such a bromance, and there was such smugness, but positive, like a good smugness. Like they couldn't quite believe they'd done it. There was something quite humbling about it, and both of them were just sort of just teasing each other a little bit, like how are we here? And Thomas goes walking off forgetting the trophy, and Steph's just like, "Oh, you're forgetting something, mate." Comes over, collects the trophy. So good.
And then even Joe Marler's not a guy to really outpour his emotion. Obviously, almost after every game you see him with his family, which is so nice, but you don't often see him getting really in the mix with the fans, and he's walking over to the corner and giving it the old show down. Then you see that? Amazing.
Yeah.
You can. What I find really nice is that in those sort of moments, you can see which players are onto which players first.
Yeah.
You can see the connections that they have with certain people. You can see the
two people I didn't realise got on so well or had a little bit of a bromance is Joe Marchant and James Lang. Those two just seem like best mates. It's such a shame Lang is leaving, because they've obviously got a really good connection.
Tough to see a mate go.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad they got to end it that way, and they're obviously all at the ship right now. We're sat here on Monday evening, day 3. Yeah. Day 3. I mean, I had a huge weekend. I was at the ship yesterday. In fact, we haven't even talked about this yet. Yeah. Obviously, Saturday night was huge. Afters.
Should we go in Saturday night? Should we go chronologically? Should we go in Saturday night and have a little chat about it quickly? As we leave the ground, obviously everyone's on the pitch. Everyone's getting kicked out. We're all getting asked to leave, and we're outside the stadium. We got to bump into Tex. Had a big colour with him. Chatting to a few of the academy boys, and we had really good chats with George Hammond and Jack Musk and George Head and Lennox, those sort of guys. And then we make our way back over the stoop. You and I blag our way. We were invited in by some really nice people in the club.
Kicking the ball about on the pitch. Oh, I know why you want to talk about this now. I know why you want to talk about this now. Michael's going to try and claim that he slotted a 40-meter drop goal on the hallowed turf.
Did. I wish it was on camera. Do you know what? I'm going to email the club. I'm going to call someone tomorrow. I'm hoping CCTV somewhere on the pitch. I want that footage for anyone that's there. The guys about Will Trenholm, if you're listening to this, back me up, get in touch. I'm going to DM you. We were sat there with Tex, we were having a chat, and there was this ball there, and I thought, look, can't. Can't not give it a go.
Hey, I wanted to take that ball home with me as well, but I managed to lose it.
Tried to hide it in the bush, didn't you?
it got to a point in the night where I was like, right, I've got to make a choice now. Do I hold this ball in my hand for the next 2 hours? Do I hold a few beers? And obviously the beers trumped the ball.
Should have gone out the jumper.
I stuck the ball in the corner behind one of the food trucks, and it was the least well hidden thing ever. But at that point, I just wasn't that bothered. I thought, you know what, if it goes, it goes. It'll find a better home.
I'm devastated because that's the ball that I genuinely
slotted that drop. No, in fairness, you did slot a great job going it. First attempt as well.
First attempt.
You'll never kick a rugby ball again, mate.
No, I did say that's my playing career over. Not that it wasn't before, but just being in that moment, we have to talk about. And this might be quite cool for people to listen to because obviously, you know, we were amazed, just ridiculous like it's been there. Laurie Dalrymple's speech, and this is where I want to bring in the double champs.
Yeah.
It wasn't forced. It wasn't cliche. It wasn't patronising. It was the best celebration of a rugby club I've ever.
It was a rugby club celebration,
and everything we've seen on Twitter, all the social media is celebrating not the men, not the women. It's celebrating the club, and we were so lucky. Obviously, we got to know some of these people. We were so lucky to spend most of the day with some of the women's players. You know, we were sat with Izzy and we were sat with Jess, Ellie Green. All that lot, you know, we were sat with all of them, and it wasn't a celebration of an individual team. It wasn't a celebration of the 15 or 23 blokes that played at Twickenham on Saturday. It wasn't a celebration of the 23 women that brought home an Allianz 15s trophy at Kingsholm 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was such a celebration of the club. And
it was just a big party, wasn't it?
It was such a party.
There was trolleys of beers getting wheeled in. And
every time I finished a bottle of Peroni, one was in my hand again before I could even turn around.
It was so good. It was one of those days. If you don't get the beers get you.
Yeah.
And that's what the lads are after today, isn't it? They're at the ship today. I was there yesterday actually with.
They went down to Brighton on the Sunday, I think, as well.
They did. I think it was like Olympic themed fancy dress. Went down to Brighton for the day. I've not seen any photo evidence apart from all of the fancy dress, so I imagine it was like fairly loose because apart from seeing them all in their fancy dress, there's not been much else.
You just put your phone away and don't talk to anyone.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it? One of those ones. And then I went to the ship in the evening, and all the coaching staff were there.
Yeah.
Nick Evans was there, Jerry Flannery was there, Adam Jones, Billy Miller. They were there till close. Obviously, we were there till close as well. A little bit worse for her come the end of it. And it was just incredible. And I bumped into someone there who listens to the pod, and he was singing our praises. And like, I'll never get tired of hearing things like that. I'm just someone that sits here and talks into a microphone about Quins. I absolutely love it. And for people to come up to you in a bar, but I obviously got ribbed by my mates for it, but and quite rightly so, probably. Quite rightly so, probably. But it's so good. It's definitely not good for my ego, but it's so class hearing it. I managed to get a drink out of it as well.
It's always worth it for that, isn't it? Free beer.
Always worth it. 100% worth it for that. And then obviously the players at the ship today, some look a little bit worse for wear. Joe Marler looks horrendously hungover.
I don't know if it's hungover though. He's had no sleep because he's got a newborn. But it must be a combination of the two.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be going home waking a baby up as opposed to the other way around.
Probably getting a chopper back from Wandsworth down to Heathfield.
They just look like they're having the best time, and they deserve it.
Every single moment.
Different chants going on.
Yeah.
The Prem Trophy on his head.
Oh, even some of the guys that we spoke to, some of the guys that didn't play, you know, Will Evans, for example, what an important part of our year that man has been.
Yeah,
and just to give those people that day, to give James Lang that day, you know, to give Tom Lauday that day who didn't start the final, to give Joe Gray and Will Collier that day that they had in 2012.
Yeah. And Marla and DC. Marla and DC as well, those four. And obviously Nev and JTH.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I love about it most is that it's not a whole new group, although it feels so different. It's not. It does feel different. It's got, you know, storylines through it. It's got
the Quins DNA.
Same bits of thread, and it's got DNA of what the club is.
Yeah. Embedded all over it.
I mean, I think that's where we'll sort of leave the day, the occasion, everything like that, because it was completely mad. And like I say, I can't ever wash the smell out of this shirt. It's just champagne and just, you know, stodgy lager. Should we talk about
what's next?
I mean, let's talk about some of the things that we've seen. I mean, usually we like to say we record this on the Sunday. That didn't happen this week because we ended up kicking on a little bit into the double day. So we're recording this on Monday night. And even in the last few hours, we've just found out that 4 of our lads are going to be in England selection, you know, contention this summer. three of them I'd imagine were probably expected. Marchant, Domazin, and Marcus, but how unbelievable for Jack Kenningham to get a call at
the rise of Jack Kenningham.
Ugo Monia called it on the front row a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I was surprised actually. Even I'm a fan. I know what he can do, but I think Ugo's got a good point. There is something a little bit different about him. The way he carries the ball, he's got good footwork. He stays up. He can create a little bit of space out of nothing. There's something a little bit different to him. He's obviously a good jackler as well, but you look at the other sevens in the squad, I don't think he's going to start. There's obviously Sam Underhill in there. There's Ben Curry. Yeah. The amount he's going to learn off those two players just by being in that environment as well, he'll come back to Quinn's a better player than he already is. And that's just a scary thought for the next season. So him, Webb, Luke Wallace, we've got a real stable of proper sevens now.
Proper sevens.
So I'm excited for him. He'll be over the moon. I wonder if, I don't think they're at the ship. I haven't seen Jack Kenningham, Marcus Smith, Don Brandt, March in any of the ship stuff. I imagine because it got announced today, they're off to camp.
Maybe they're straight to camp, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 3 days on the source and then into England camp probably isn't the best prerequisite. So, yeah, I think they're probably on their way there now.
I reckon they'd be fine.
Well, yeah, they've done 2 days. Other thing I wanted to talk about, loads of things I want to talk about, actually. Obviously, hugely proud of our 4 lads getting called up for England. There's some other big news that's come out today. A couple of bits of big news.
Yeah.
One is the rumour, which is effectively signed, sealed, delivered. It's everything but confirmed. Is Tabai Matson as head coach for next season. Now, I want to get your opinion on this because we've just won the league with a group of coaches, and that man at the helm, Billy Millard, who will probably be the first to say he's not at the helm. He just oversees and guides and lets his coaches breathe and do their thing. I did a bit of reading, and apparently that's kind of the role that Tabai Matson's going to come in and play. And if that is true, then I'm cool with that because I think, A, you don't want to stand still in sport because you'll end up going backwards. There's no such thing as standing still. And if you're not doing something new, then you will be going backwards. So I think it's right that we bring somebody new in. And we've said that all along. I just hope we don't change the dynamic of what we've got too much because it's a winning machine.
And I think that's the key thing. And we spoke about it how long ago it was. If the club had gone for a elite name, let's say a Razzie Erasmus, let's say a Scott Robertson, something like that, which I'm sure at times there was conversations from what we've heard and what we read, that doesn't bring, and maybe it does, maybe I don't, maybe it doesn't. That doesn't bring the DNA that we've now formed this year with the 4 or 5 guys that are in charge and in control. And I know that in that article that we've read, Billy goes back to GM. If you then go and stick a head coach in or a director of rugby or whatever the job title is, I think it's head coach. I don't think it's DOR. You rip up everything that we've achieved this year with the group that we've had in place. And you can't do that. You have to put trust in them, but also you're right, you have to move forward. Yeah,
I agree with you. I don't think he will go in and rip up. I think he'll go in and adapt. So that he'll obviously, I hope he goes in and allows the coaches to continue doing what they're doing. But obviously, as head coach, he'll have the lead role.
Yeah, and
obviously Billy's still involved, which is great.
Of course. And seeing someone like Jordan Turner Hall, who's now part of the setup, and Charlie Mulcairn, who's been in there as a player, Adam Jones, and everyone else. That person that now is going to come in, if it is Tabai Matson, if that's who it is, and if that's what's going to be, I would hope and I would imagine been given to him that he buys into the club, and maybe that sounds a bit more forceful than it needs to. They've picked him because they believe he will buy into what we're doing. I'm sure they would have had other people in the line that would have done things differently or would have done things slightly their own way and maybe change this and maybe change that. And of course there'll be changes. Like you said, if you're not changing or not evolving, you're effectively going backwards.
Yeah.
But the guy that is going to come in, I believe has been picked. If it is going to be him, if it isn't going to be him, I still think whoever it is that comes in will do the same job that we're speaking about now. They will have picked him because they believe he will buy in to what we're doing now with this group of coaches, with this group of players.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, his rugby CV is pretty decent as well. Anyway, he's been the Fiji attack coach. He coached at Bath for a little bit, coached the Chiefs for a little bit. So he's been around internationally. He's been in England before, which I think will bode well. So interesting to see how things develop. But I think want to rest on your laurels when you just won
No.
the league. You want to continue to develop and grow. So interesting to see where we go from here. Another new man potentially coming in. I've just seen rumours again on social media. Paul Asiki, unfortunately, Achilles injury, going to be out for a very long time. Suffered it in training, which is a shame because I'd love to have seen him running at 12 for USA against England at Twickenham this summer. That would have been really cool, but unfortunately he's ruled out. So we can bring someone in as injury cover. I've seen Hugh Jones, the Scotland centre, being rumoured. What are your thoughts on that one?
I don't really know. I can't say I've watched loads of him play other than during Six Nations time. From what I remember from watching, I think it was in the England game, was it a couple of years ago, when he's big barreling centre that runs hard and
tore us apart.
Is a silky runner.
He reminds me quite a lot of Marchant, actually.
Yeah, maybe a bit more physical and a bit bigger, maybe a touch more direct. Joe might be slightly more silky, but
yeah, a bit more of a 12 basically.
Yeah,
because when you've got Luke Northmore and Joe Marchant, you don't really need a third 13, do you? But yeah, I think he'll come in and play that 12 role temporarily until we got Big Paulie back. And I think he's said, or it's rumoured that he'll go over to Bordeaux or something. He's going to have a short-term deal here, is what I've read. And then he'll go over to the top 14.
Maybe that'd be a good thing, if you get another
perfect.
experience in and around the group for another however long it is, if it is a short-term deal, doesn't young, fit, aggressive in his running.
We're losing a couple of Scots, and Scott Steele's going to be by himself, so it's good to bring in another Scotsman.
Yeah, true. Yeah. good to see Stelco on Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good to see him.
Hope we catch up for a bit of intelligence at some point. Scott,
on good form. And Tex. I really want to go for a beer with Tex. I love that guy.
Yeah, man.
Love that guy.
Where do you want to go now, mate? I mean, look.
That's all the news I kind of had in terms of gossip and transfers. But there's one thing I want to do to end the episode, because this is our last episode of the season. Yeah. And albeit we've only been doing it since January, but we feel like the journey that we've been on with all our listeners and with the players and the club and everybody has been pretty special. So, I mean, we've got loads of thank yous, to the people that listen to this and actually humour us and actually listen to us, because it makes us feel great and it's why we do it. We originally started to escape lockdown and have a little bit of nostalgia on Quinn's memories and keep ourselves busy, really. It was more for us. And then we realised people were loving it and we kept going. And now we're in a position where we're sat here as Premiership champions. And I've got loads more mates than I've ever had before. I've met loads of new people in the last month alone at different games, at different special moments. And we can't wait to pick up again next season and go again. But the reason for doing all this is because we want to bring the fans closer together again. And although the domestic season has finished, we want to go one more time. So this will be our last episode on the pod. But what we want to do this Sunday is host a Twitter space on our Harlequins Pod Twitter account. And that's basically like Clubhouse or like radio station, if you don't know what Clubhouse is. And we'll host it on there. All of our fans can join. It's basically a big community where we can all talk about Quins and share our thoughts on the season, highlights, lowlights, various different memories. It'll be a great open forum. We've had so many people asking to come on the pod, which is quite humbling. And I've been a yes man, basically saying yes to absolutely everybody. It's going to be impossible to get everybody on. But what better way than to create this online community on Twitter for an hour or two on a Sunday evening and just talk to each other and celebrate what was an incredible season and for us in particular, a pretty crazy 6 months.
Yeah. That's going to be a new experience for me. I've never done anything on that sort of Twittery, lively stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. And like you say, we've met so many people this year that, we can't all talk to everyone, one by one, week by week, because it just doesn't work like that. But if we can get, a few people that log on and have a chat with us and just give us some of their thoughts on what's been the most unbelievable season, I'd be really looking forward. I'd be really keen for that, and hopefully,
exactly.
Pans out
Enough
well.
of us. Enough
yeah,
of us.
Exactly.
We're putting the mic down. We'll put the mic down and we'll hand it over.
You lot have all listened to our ramblings for long enough. It's time for us to hear you, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'd be a really, really cool thing to do to end this season.
Oh, I'm so excited for that. Let's we'll put some information out on Twitter this week. Keep an eye out for it. We'll host a live conversation on Twitter and let everybody have their say. We've had enough of our voices, so. Yeah, big thank you from me. I'll let you do your own thank you as well, Mike. But here we are, end of the season. What a ride, mate. What's been your highlight? What's been your low light? Special memories? I mean, we're sat here as the Premiership winning podcast, if that counts for anything.
I remember Laurie Davenport doing this. This is ridiculous. But Laurie giving his speech in the ground in the stoop on Saturday night at whatever time it was. God knows, can't count that late. And he said, we've not got only the best men's side in the country. We haven't got the best women's side in the country. We haven't got the best fans in the country. We've got it all. And I remember me just going, yeah, I'm the best podcast.
Well, I said that.
No, I said that.
I was going to say, I don't remember that.
Yeah,
he's right, though. Facts.
Me being an arsehole. But no, mate.
Like, talking facts, mate.
Talking facts. We'll do all the, the highlights and the lowlights and the ups and the downs next week with all the fans. I think that'd be a really fun thing to do. But just from me, I think I said it to you when I was battered at the time. For everyone listening, Will's the brains behind this. It doesn't happen without him. He does all the edits, does most of the social media. The game is unrivaled. It does such an unbelievable job. It's been so cool for me and him to do this year. I've got some unbelievable photos. I mean, we've not had a photo together since we were about 16 at home, back at Grandma and Grandpa's in the front room.
Yeah,
we both look like spotty teenagers. But mate, this year's been so class, and getting that day at the end of it with everyone that we've met. And me and you sat in the stoop on God knows what it was, drinking some beers and enjoying our time. It was something I'll never forget, and it's been class. And mate, you doing such a good job with this, and you make me look better. So yeah, don't know where to leave it other than that. But everyone, thanks so much for listening. It's been an unbelievable year. Thank you everyone so much for your support. All the love on social media, all the love in the last couple of weeks that we've been in there for. It's been absolutely brilliant, and we can't thank everyone enough. Everyone that's come on, all the players, all the guests, from Mike Boville to Chris Robshaw to Texo.
Besby on the gate.
Besby on the gate as well. All our friends down there. Unbelievable year.
And we leave as Premiership champions.
And we leave as Premiership double champions, the best club in the country. We did it. And I can't wait to see everyone on some live stuff on Twitter on Sunday. And then we'll drink some beers this summer and we'll go again in September whenever the season rolls around again.
Hey, all the best, mate. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy the off-season. And we'll be back come August, September time. And we go again.
We will. We go again.
The defence begins.
Let's defend the title. Thanks, everyone.